In April 2026, Goldman Sachs published a research report that most people never read. It contained a number so specific and so uncomfortable that it barely made the news cycle. That number, 16,000. 16,000 net jobs erased by AI every single month in the United States alone. Not in the future. Right now, today. In this video, we're going to cover 3 things that most people never connect. First, the research that reveals exactly which white-collar jobs are disappearing, in what order, and why most people won't see it coming until it has already happened to them. Second, what occurred the last time a technology replaced an entire category of human work at this scale. History has a very specific answer, and it is not the one you've been told. And third, Goldman Sachs buried something on page 8 of that same report, a number that completely changes how you should be thinking about this moment. Most coverage of this topic never mentioned it. Stay until the end, because that third thing reframes everything that comes before it. Let's start with what we actually know. Goldman Sachs's April 2026 report did not deal in vague predictions. It isolated AI's specific contribution to job losses, separating it from offshoring, from economic cycles, from ordinary attrition. The methodology was new. The finding was clear. 25,000 positions are eliminated by AI substitution every 4 weeks in the United States. 9,000 new roles are added through AI augmentation. Net result, 16,000 jobs gone per month. But the number that should concern you more is not the monthly figure. It's who is saying it. Ford's CEO told investors that AI will, and this is a direct quote, replace literally half of all white-collar workers. Salesforce's Mark Benioff said AI is already handling up to 50% of his company's workload. Walmart CEO told the Wall Street Journal that AI is going to change literally every job. These are not researchers speculating about the future. These are the people currently making the decisions. And the Anthropic CEO, the company building some of the most capable AI systems in existence, stated publicly in 2025 that AI could eliminate roughly 50% of all entry-level white-collar positions within 5 years. Here is what makes this different from every previous wave of automation. Previous waves replaced physical labor. This one is targeting the jobs that were supposed to be safe, the thinking jobs, the degree jobs, the jobs people spent 4 years and $40,000 preparing for. So which jobs go first? The research is unusually specific. The World Economic Forum, McKinsey, and Goldman Sachs all point to the same categories: data entry, customer service scripting, basic legal research, routine coding, content moderation, administrative support. These roles share one characteristic. They are built around processing information according to rules. And that is exactly what large language models do: faster, cheaper, and without requiring benefits, vacation time, or a performance review. The numbers from individual companies make this concrete. Microsoft CEO confirmed that 30% of the company's code is now written by AI. More than 40% of Microsoft's layoffs in May 2025 targeted software engineers specifically. Stanford's Digital Economy Lab found that entry-level hiring in AI-exposed roles has already dropped 13% since large language models became mainstream. The group most affected is also the group least able to absorb it. Goldman Sachs found that Gen Z workers are structurally the most vulnerable. They are concentrated in exactly the routine white-collar roles that AI automates most effectively: data entry, customer service, legal support, basic analysis. These were the traditional entry points into professional careers, the rungs on the ladder that previous generations used to build experience. Those rungs are disappearing before the ladder can be climbed. The Yale Budget Lab's 2025 analysis added one more uncomfortable detail. AI is not primarily firing existing workers. It is suppressing the hiring of new ones. Companies are growing their output without growing their headcount. The door into professional work is quietly closing, and most new graduates are only beginning to realize it. Now for the historical parallel, because this has happened before, not at this scale and not this fast, but the pattern is recognizable. In the early 1800s, hand-loom weavers were among the most skilled workers in Britain. They earned good wages. They had a trade that took years to master. Then the mechanical loom arrived. Within a single generation, the earnings of handloom weavers collapsed by more than 80%. Many never recovered. Their skills did not transfer. The new economy required different capabilities, and the transition period lasted decades. The standard counterargument to this story is the ATM machine. In 1970, there were roughly 200,000 bank tellers in the United States. ATMs were supposed to make them obsolete. By 2010, there were more than 500,000 bank tellers. Why? Because ATMs lowered the cost of running a branch, so banks opened more branches, which required more tellers, but tellers who did different work, less cash handling, more relationship management, more complex service. The optimistic reading of AI says the same thing will happen now. AI does the routine tasks, humans move up to higher value work. Everyone ends up better off. That reading may be correct in aggregate, but as Goldman Sachs acknowledged in their own report, the destruction is hitting first, faster, and harder than the new opportunity creation. The handloom weavers were told the economy would rebalance too. They were right in theory, they just didn't live long enough to see it. Now, page 8. Goldman Sachs included a statistic in the same report that almost no coverage mentioned. 60% of American workers today are employed in occupations that simply did not exist in 1940. Let that settle for a moment. The entire category of software developer, UX designer, social media manager, data scientist, cybersecurity analyst, none of these existed 80 years ago. Yet they now employ tens of millions of people, and more than 85% of employment growth since 1940 came from technology-driven job creation. The World Economic Forum's most recent Future of Jobs report projects that by 2030, AI will create 78 million more jobs than it destroys globally. So, why does any of this feel alarming? Because the aggregate is not the individual, and because the wage data tells a more complex story than the job count does. Here is what Goldman Sachs also found. Workers who develop genuine AI skills are earning 56% more than workers in equivalent roles who have not. The wage gap between AI-adjacent workers and everyone else is widening at 3.3 percentage points per standard deviation of AI exposure. In plain language, the economy is splitting in two. On one side, workers who have repositioned themselves as collaborators with AI, legal researchers who use AI tools and complete due diligence 70% faster, software developers using AI coding assistants who ship features 55% faster than those who don't. On the other side, workers doing the same tasks the same way, competing against systems that do those tasks for effectively zero marginal cost. This is not AI versus humans. It is AI using humans versus everyone else. And that gap is not closing, it is widening every quarter. So what does this mean practically? 3 things that economists across Goldman Sachs, McKinsey, and the IMF consistently agree AI cannot effectively replicate. First, complex judgment in ambiguous situations. AI is exceptional at tasks with clear rules and measurable outcomes. It struggles profoundly when the answer depends on context, values, relationships, and factors that cannot be fully specified in advance. The lawyers, doctors, and executives who will remain indispensable are those making judgment calls, not those processing information. Second, genuine human relationships. AI can simulate warmth. It cannot provide actual trust built over years. The roles most resistant to automation are those where the human connection is the product. Therapy, negotiation, leadership, sales at the highest level. These require something AI can approximate, but not replace. Third, creative leadership under uncertainty. Not just generating ideas, which AI does well, but taking responsibility for a direction when the outcome is unknown. Organizations will always need humans willing to be accountable for decisions that matter. The question this scenario ultimately raises is not whether AI will replace white-collar work. The evidence suggests it already is. The real question is which side of that 56% wage gap you end up on. And that, unlike the automation itself, is still something you get to decide. That's What If. I'll see you in the next one.